pin is a tactic in which a defending piece cannot move out of the line of an attacking piece without exposing a more valuable piece. Let's give an example. In this game, the black pieces checked this king on g1, and then white responded with this big blunder, king f2. This exposes the king to the queen here on the same open line, and black decides to play rook f8 here to now pin the queen to the king. The queen cannot move this time by force out of fear of exposing a much more valuable piece, which is the king, the entire game. And so here, white has one rebuttal, one last chance to off this pin, otherwise the queen will be dead. And so rook d8 is played here. Rook d8 pins this rook from taking this queen. Okay, so rook d8 is played, and now black has a final blow themselves. This queen is already pinned, right? So that means their power is done, which means that black now plays queen h4 check, forking the king and queen, and this queen is pinned. So the king has to move, and now black scoops up the queen, and I hope that that is a fierce example of a pin by illustrating it 3 times. Welcome to 10 levels of tactics, in which I will present to you 10 different levels of puzzles involving the pin for you to solve, giving you time to solve every single problem. Let's see how far you can get solving these incrementally tough problems. So welcome to level 1, ELOs 0 to 500. In this position, it is white to play and win. Pause the video to solve the problem. I'll give you 5 seconds. In this game, it's important to realize that our queen is attacked and white are probably gonna trade here. The second realization you need to make is that this queen is making checkmate on g7 if it weren't for this dually f6 pawn. And so, by observing that, it is key to now see the actual winning move. Rook takes g5 check. This rook takes not only forks the king and queen, but also uses this pin to transparently sacrifice the rook. And if you were to take this rook, I have queen g7 checkmate, using your pin to the advantage and inflicting a fork. If you don't take and let's say move your king, then I can take this queen on c5 and be completely winning. Welcome to level 2, ELOs 500 to 800. This one is an opening trap starting in the Sicilian here. The white pieces play on and black play a Taimanov, and now after castling and this super big blunder by the white pieces f4, it is black to play and win. Pause the video to solve the problem. I'll give you 5 seconds. Here it is key to observe why f4 itself is a terrible move, and that is because of the weakening of this diagonal onto this king. Now, if you observe the bishop c5 immediately pinning this knight to the king, that would be incorrect, because here it's not fast enough of a move, and the white pieces can simply defend with a pawn here and c3, and this would hold a little bit longer. Instead, you have to force a better piece to the d4 square with knight takes d4, forcing a trade, right? You have to take back this knight, otherwise you're down a piece, and then the black pieces follow up with bishop c5, pinning the queen to the king. Why is this better than the other one? Because here, if white defends, the bishop is way inferior of a piece, so it's a way bigger gap of material. When you trade here after c3, bishop takes, and c takes, the black pieces are completely winning. Welcome to level 3, ELOs 800 to 1200, taking a little jump here. Here it is black to play and win. Pause the video to solve the problem. I'll give you 5 seconds. In this position, it was key to observe the pin that is already going on. Here, the queen is pinning this pawn to the king, and really you have to look for things to do around that, since the theme is pin today. So that's already a clue for every puzzle. And so here, by looking around, you will finally find the answer, knight f3. This uses the pin to check the king here and inflict a fork on this king and rook. You cannot take with the pawn, obviously it is pinned, and you cannot take with the queen because this deflects the queen off the rook on d2, and if queen takes d2, and here we are up material. You kind of have to take. If you don't take and you play like king move, then we have knight takes d2 and we win a full rook. So if you are the white pieces in this situation, it's important to mitigate your risk, mitigate the loss of material, and play queen takes f3, and instead play on with the exchange down, but at least still some hopes to win. Welcome to level 4, elo's 1200 to 1400. In this position, it is white to play and win. Pause the video to solve the problem. I'll give you 5 seconds. In this position, it is a weak chess problem because there are more than one answers. If you saw any of these two solutions, they are equally good, so congratulations. But there's one that's a little bit spicier than the other one, in my opinion. If you said queen takes g5, obviously, the concept of this puzzle is that our queen is pinned, and we need to find a win despite this. So using the pin against us to then push back and defeat the enemy. And here, queen takes g5 is the first answer. This forces h takes g5, and after that we would have rook takes g8. Beautiful sacrificial move, attracting the king to this g8 square. This is called a decoy tactic. If you don't know what this is, I have a 10 levels of problem on the decoy right here in this video. And so in another video actually, so here after king takes g8, we would have knight f6 check, forking the king and queen, also known as a royal fork. And if the king goes to h7, we have this super clutch knight f6 royal fork and defending the rook, absolutely crazy, and then winning completely. That's solution number 1. Solution number 2 is rook takes g8. Personally my favorite, but it's relatively the same thing. If the rook takes, you have queen takes g8, which is forced, king takes, attracting the king to g8 once again, and then a royal fork, and then you would be up a piece completely in the endgame, super winning. And if king takes, then you have queen takes g5 check, forcing h takes, and then knight f6 check, winning the queen again with a full piece in the endgame. And if king h7, you have knight f6 checkmate. Absolutely ludicrous. Welcome to level 5, elo's 1400 to 1600. In this position, it is white to play and win using the pin. Pause the video to solve the problem. I'll give you 5 seconds. So in this one, the pin isn't absolutely observable from the jump start, which is kind of cool. It makes it a little bit more mysterious and distinctive. So here, the white pieces play bishop g7 check is the first move. This is to deflect the rook off of the weak back rank. You see this bishop here is not only a bad piece, it is a really weakening piece because it makes for a weak back rank. If this rook is deflected off of the back rank is now free for rook c8 check, forcing a response out of the black pieces, rook g8. And what happens now is that this rook is observably pinned. This rook on c8 is pinning the rook on g8, and here the white pieces have a simple mate with queen g4. You cannot stop this, and we're threatening queen g7 checkmate. We're threatening queen takes g8 checkmate. If you take my rook, your rook is deflected off of the g7 square, and we have queen g7 checkmate. And if, let's say, you delay things, well, then I just take your queen, and the same threat happens. This is completely over. Welcome to level 6, elo's 1600 to 1800. In this position, it is white to play and win using the pin. Pause the video to solve the problem. This one is a little bit harder than last one, but it's kind of the same thing. This solution is marvelous. The first move is to observe that, this rook on c5 is undefended. So queen b4 check is the first logical candidate move that you think about from this position. So from the original position, you think of candidate moves, and the best and most attractive is the ones that you calculate through. And by calculating through this well-looking candidate move, check on the king and attacking this rook, this looks like a very nice fork. If the queen goes to b7, we pick up the rook for free, and we are winning. And if rook b6 is played to defend this rook, Discovery defense, I've never seen that in my life, first time. Here the white pieces have a beautiful move I hope you found, and that is knight c6. A double pin, brav! Beautiful. 2 pins here on 2 rooks by 1 queen on different valuable pieces. There's the valuable piece of this queen on e7, and there's the valuable piece of this king on b7. Beautiful, right? If you take with this rook, I take the queen. You cannot take my knight with this rook, but you can play king b7 to try to still attack my queen so that if I take here, you take here. And then black is winning. And if I take here, you can just take with the king, and if I take here, it is completely equal. So here white found the beautiful and only move in this position, rook takes a7 check, inflicting a skewer on the king and queen. And so if you just go back now, it is completely winning because I have bishop a6, and then your rook is deflected off, and we have mate. So here, king takes c6, and now we still have the problem of taking and you take. So we gotta get rid of our queen, and that is by doing queen a4 check. If any of the rooks block, we're super happy. We just take the queen and run. And so if king d6 to at least defend the queen, you have the even more evil, and I hope you found this, queen f4. Really giving no mercy to the black pieces and not trading a queen for the rook, instead checking this king and forcing this king back to c6 to take the queen for free. I hope you solved this. Welcome to level 7. In this position, it is black to play and win. Pause the video to solve the problem. I'll give you 5 seconds. This one maybe isn't for level 7, maybe it's easier than level 7, but I find that the tactic itself is exceptionally hard to find. Not necessarily the first move, because it is bishop h3, a deflection of the king off the queen, but we are here for the pin. So acknowledging that black, or that white, does not do the worst move in this position and plays king g1, here the black pieces have a masterpiece. It is key to observe here the little but big advantage that the black pieces have, and that is this passed pawn on c4. And if you can numb these 2 pieces, then this pawn can just run down the board and make a second queen. And by observing that, you do not play queen d1 because of queen e2 defensive move, and then they can take, but you play instead queen a1, restricting and pinning the bishop on f1 to the king and restricting the queen to e2, f2, while you can play c3, c2, c1, queen. So let's say queen e2, c3. The king, let's say, goes out of the pin here with king f2, and then you can go bishop takes, or even queen takes. Queen takes, bishop takes, and if king takes, then you have c2, and king e2, c1, queen. Really cool problem, right? So queen a1, freezing the white pieces, was the pin tactic. Welcome to level 8, ELO 2000 to 2200. In this position, it is white to play and win, and let me tell you, this problem is not obvious to solve. It took me like 3 minutes to convince myself that it was winning. So take your time, take 5 seconds to pause this puzzle. In this position, it is very key to observe that this bishop is pinning the pawn to the king. And so what does that do? If we open this up, we might have a fantastic position. So it was key to observe here that queen g6 immediately could be a good shot because this pawn is pinned, but it doesn't do much because this is a defended square not once, not twice, but 3 times. And so we need a little bit more than that. And with the exchange up, which you should have realized, white have a rook against a knight and 3 pawns. It is important, no, 2 pawns. Okay, a knight and 2 pawns against a rook. It is important to acknowledge this superiority in material and then to find the winning tactic from here. So it's not rook takes g5, it is rook takes f6, sacrificing the rook. And if you do nothing, I win a pawn for free, and we have more power on this f7 square. We're threatening like rook takes g5 as well. Takes, and then rook takes f7. It's absolutely winning. So here, black are pretty much forced to take this rook with g takes f6. And now we have queen g6 check, which is not that winning, right? Okay, you can make an argument. If king h8, which is the bad move, then queen takes h6 check. Knight h7 would be a blunder to queen g7 checkmate. And if the king goes to g8, then we have queen takes f6, and this is a lost battle. But what if king f8? Here, if you decided queen takes h6 check, this is incorrect. The entire problem is incorrect. Because king e7 and the black pieces are actually not that bad after queen takes h2, queen takes, and king takes. It's pretty equal, and this endgame is going to be a draw instead of you winning. So what we had to find here was the more obscure queen takes f6. And not only does this threaten queen takes f6 and then queen takes g5, but it also threatens queen h8 winning a rook. Let's give an example. Let's say rook e8 to defend the rook. Now we have queen takes h6 check, king e7, queen takes g5, and realize we don't trade the queens like taking the bishop on h2. So this lets us keep the queens on the board while this king is still in the center, which is an added benefit here. And so, okay, king d7, and now g3, and this bishop is lost. Kind of really cool. Welcome to level 9 for the ELOs 2200 to 2400. In this position, it is white to play and win. Pause the video to solve the problem. I'll give you 5 seconds. This puzzle is how to rehabilitate from a very annoying pin. In this position, that queen is super annoying. I mean, pinning our rook, and if we don't want to do something super defensive like rook f1, we just give the g-file. And I think black has enough compensation here with a bishop and 3 pawns against a rook to be quite winning, actually. And so here, it's really crazy because the engine does not find that this problem is actually made in 3 on engine depth 14. Doesn't find it. But once you put the blue engine, which goes depth 99, it finds made in 3 immediately. It's really crazy. And this problem is made in 3, but really does not look like it's checkmate in 3 moves, which is insane. So in this position, it was key to observe that this rook is invaluable to the operation. And here what you have to do is you have to sacrifice it, because you can realize that if queen takes and it's not check, we can just take this rook on f8 with checkmate. So if you found, I mean, it's level 9, but if you found this move, if you found this one move, it's done, it's over. But this move is really hard to find. If you found rook g2 that is genuinely impressive, takes off the pin here. And if queen takes f3, it's not check. We have queen takes f8 checkmate. And if anything else here, anything else, legit like queen e4. Now we have queen takes f8. Yeah, anything along this diagonal for the queen, it's mate, right? So let's say like queen d8. Here, this rook g2 threatens mate in 2 with queen takes h7 check, king takes h7, and then rook h3 check, forcing queen h4, and then checkmate. Wow. I mean, this was played in a real game. That's double wow. And triple wow is that this is actually just made in 2, right here, on the spot. Wow, on f5 it's the same here. It's really an insane tactic. Anyways, that's level 9. I hope you solved it. It's one of the level 9s so far in this 5 episode series that is the most solvable. And finally, level 10, a polymorphy game. He played this against Anderson in like the 1800s, which is crazy. In this position, it is white to play and win. The solution is so long, I cannot count it that high. Pause the video to solve the problem, 2500 plus ELO puzzle. In this position, you would love to attempt to triple down on this pin with like queen h6. The problem with queen h6 is that your rook is attacked. So literally the solution is queen takes f4 first, attacking this bishop twice and really threatening queen h8, or h6, sorry. And here, if queen f8 to defend, now you have a forced line that is completely winning. You took that extra pawn on f4, that is your winning gem of this entire position. And the rest of the moves here are forced. Knight takes b5, a takes b5, and then queen h6, tripling down on this pin now. And here black can do essentially nothing. They can wait around, but their pieces are not going to wait that long. It's not a zugzwang, it's just like the waiting moves are waiting moves. In fact, actually there is king h8, which is not that much of a waiting move because black is threatening to take this bishop with the queen so that you can get out of this pin and then take the queen on h6. So white actually needs to move, and that's why they played rook takes g7. Paul Morphy played this, like really. And after rook takes g7, here he does not take this rook first. Instead, he plays the really crazy move and finesse move. Both lines are winning here, but if you found rook king f2 here first, acknowledging that this is a pin and the white pieces have actually time to get up ahead in the endgame first by moving up the king and thrusting this. Well, then after the king is out of the pin here and threatens to unleash this rook with a discovered check on the queen, now we would have queen takes g7 check, queen takes, bishop takes, king takes, and just the knowledge that this endgame is winning because of this pawn majority on the king side, an extended pawn majority, this is gold and you would have the correct solution. You don't have to tell me the logistics of this, just knowing that this is completely winning. And yeah, that is level 10. Extremely hard puzzle. I mean, just extremely hard. You have to find defensive moves and you have to find force moves like the trades here and then deciding to liquidate this entire position into a winning endgame. This is a type of puzzle that's really global in terms of all the facets of chess, in my opinion. Putting an absolute pin on the bishop, right? Pinning it 3 times. By the way, this is the extension of the pin. What's greater than a pin in chess is the absolute pin, which is this level here, in which you are dumbing down on this pin, on this same pin, more than once, twice, 3 times. So this is called an absolute pin. And we use this absolute pin in this level to liquidate down to a winning endgame and simplify this position so that the white pieces are completely winning. So just in case you're wondering how this endgame is winning, this is a little bit how Stockfish plays it. He instead trades a pawn here and then just lets this king go super out of bound to take this pawn while our king just scoops up everything here and wins this endgame here. Wait, okay, Stockfish is kind of cheeky, takes a rook, but you get the concept. You give a pawn or you leave a pawn on the other side of the board. It's a very strong pawn. The black pieces must take it, sway their king away from the game, and then you go on the queen side. This is called the fox and the chicken coop endgame. I actually do have a YouTube short on my YouTube. Go to my YouTube page, search fox and chicken coop. You will find it there. I hope you had a fun time today. That was 10 levels of tactics, the pin. Have an amazing day and see you next time.